everyone. So we are live. It is 2:39 Pacific Standard Time on the 9th of November 2017. Today's my friend Brian's birthday. Happy birthday, Brian Gasaway. I think you're over in London now. I hope you're doing well. I send my love. So I wanted to do a live video. And first I wanted to let you know, if my teeth are blue at all, it's because I made a smoothie. Remember the blackberries and the pineapples I was eating last night? Well, I froze them and I made a smoothie. And I put this Runa juice in, which is guayusa, which I think is a shrub from Paraguay, Uruguay, much like yerba mate. So, Joe beans. Johanna's not having, her tummy doesn't feel too great right now. So I put a little bit of that in it, a raspberry guayusa. Oh goodness, my eyes look. I look like I'm not getting enough sleep and I need to drink more water. And I put that in with the pineapple and blackberry, and then I put a little bit of honey, and it's like primo. So get my antioxidants today. So that's like my little lunch snack today. But I wanted to do a live video. Real quick, I'm going to share this up on Twitter, which is Living Tree Om, and also my Facebook, which is Time to Heal. So give me 1 second. Sweet. So let's see. Beam is pretty. I like Dream too. Let's go with Beam for right now. So I wanted to do, today I was going to kind of switch it up a little bit. I don't know, I just shared this stuff up on Twitter and Facebook, so I don't know if you guys were watching me do that or not. I don't know if it cut off the live stream. I was going to kind of switch it up a little bit to show you guys what I do as far as astrology, and also how astrology basically reflects everything that's going on in my life right now, as far as what my life's purpose is and how that is actually mirrored and translated and written in geometrical patterns in the stars that reflect basically the relationships between numbers and shapes that correspond at any given moment in space and time, like waves all crashing in at once when you're born, the moment you take your first breath into this incarnation, into the world. And those waves kind of crashing in all at once are actually literally dense vibratory frequencies that combine to create the dense matter in time and space that is you. And where those planetary bodies are that emanate those vibrations that end up making up who you are throughout your life, where they are at any given point, and at the given point of your particular birth into this world, into this incarnation, the relationships between those planets also have a direct effect on who you are and what your destiny is here. Because remember, there is no glass ceiling, so there's no out there and in here. It's all one time and space. So the cosmos time and space, you know, although it's gazillions of times larger, is the same time and space that we're sharing here on Earth. We're in space. We don't have to go to space. We're in space at all times. We're just gravitationally attracted to and attached to the Earth itself, Mother Earth, which is fabulous. Wouldn't want it any other way, right? So, and if you didn't catch that earlier, that's my blackberry and pineapple and guayusa smoothie for lunch. So, and I wanted to also show you, I completely finished Brian Thomas's his art piece, and this is what I want to, I'm sure I'm gonna have like smoothie all over my face during this, so just, you know, bear with me, guys. And feel free to comment, you know, at any given point. But this is the art that I was working on last night's video, or I was finishing it up last night, and I put the final layer of shellac on it, so it'll be pretty hardy. So, you know, it's pretty much one sheet now. But I look forward to giving him that. I'm going to give that to him on Monday, and we're supposed to go and pick up the transcripts, the audio transcripts from the trial. So I look forward to giving him that. But also, you know, I wanted to show you, he commissioned that for me especially because he saw the work that I did on this, and he liked that a lot. So he wanted me to surprise him, but he commissioned an art piece, and also that was also a donation to, you know, my rent and everything, my housing. So because the state did a false eviction, so that they could perpetuate the false narrative, because I began doing the live videos again. And whenever I do live videos, the state freaks out because they are running a major corruption racket that I happen to be at the center of right now, and they don't want to be exposed. That includes all Seattle representatives, including the town council members, who are now, after I've been reaching out for their assistance for 2.5 years now, who are now like literally trying to rip off my tiny home community idea and say that it's theirs without acknowledging me or my you know, pleas for an investigation into the case and my son, and to locate my son and get him home to me. So they are watching. They're just watching to rip me off and keep me hidden, you know, among the multitudes of nameless, faceless people that they could care less about, but they run their mouths and they post on their social media about how much they care about those people, so they can keep those positions of power, so they can keep ripping off and living off the taxpayers here in Washington State. It's pretty insane how deep the racketeering here goes. That wasn't me, guys. That was the chair. I just felt like I needed to say that. I'm using my my keyboard chair for a little mini makeshift desk here. But I wanted to kind of go over, the title of this video is My Natal Chart, My Life's Purpose, My Personal Destiny, and Inner Awakenings, both the holistic health and wellness consulting business that I have, private business, and then also the astrology consulting, astro psychology consulting business I do, which the reason I want to do this using myself is because I want to show you guys what I do in my personal astrology practice that I feel would give you guys great insight. And if I could get people, you know, procuring me off the internet to do their natal charts and do, you know, astropsychology readings for them, I could pay my bills that way. You know, I could literally be doing the service that I'm here to do, one of them, and also paying my bills. So essentially, you know, starting my business and working like anybody else. It's just, it would be harder for the state to immediately confiscate all my money to perpetuate the extortion and the racketeering and the child trafficking with my son, which I refuse to participate in, and for the last 2.5 years have been forced into a corner, whether I either have day jobs while I do this lawsuit to support myself, or I have no money and I do this lawsuit full time and getting my astropsychology consulting business off the ground. So, you know, they definitely have all bases covered, to where any way I go or I try to live a normal life, my money and all the money that I make goes directly to the crimes done against me. So I pay for the kidnapping of my son, the abuse of my son, the concealment of my son, and I pay for Adam to not have a job. And basically, there's a potential that he's using my son as a money-making, potentially selling him. I mean, I don't know, but what I'm seeing online, what these guys are doing, that the people that do shit like what Adam did, steal a child and then hide them, they're doing, they sell the children to pedophiles and to child pornography and shit like that. And I would not put it past Adam. Not at all. Given what I've seen of him throughout how mindless zombie, how heartless and cruel he is, how much he uses children for a paycheck, I would not put it past Adam at all to do that. And his father, because they have bought children before. That's what they do. They buy and sell children. They live off children, and they live off the money from the state that they get from buying and selling children and stealing children from young mothers. Anyways, bringing it back. My personal destiny in this. I'm going to use my astrology chart to show you guys what I do and how I am able to use astrology and my personal natal chart to confirm and to provide a guidepost for me during all these bigger escapades I take during my life, and all the grander purpose of my overall life's blueprint. And it allows me to peer into my natal chart when I question if I'm on the right path or not, to see if it is in line with the map that's set out before me of basically mathematical equations that translate into humanistic psychology and a humanistic identity pattern. So I'm going to use my own chart to educate you guys on what I do with Inner Awakenings Astrology, and then hopefully get you guys to contact me via email to do a natal chart for you, a natal chart reading for you. So, and what I would need from you for that is I would need your exact time of birth, your exact date of birth, and when I say exact time, the moment you took your first breath, because we want to see the constellation that's coming up over the horizon the moment you took your first breath, because that is the outward persona that you embody when you're taking your birth chart through your human experience out into the world. So the constellation coming over the horizon is called your ascendant sign. And you've probably heard a lot of people talk recently about, like, Donald Trump. He's a Leo ascendant. Well, I'm a Leo sun sign. I was born July 26, 1984 at 11:45 in the morning in Clinton, Maryland. So that is literally right outside a stone's throw from DC, Washington, DC, our nation's capital. So I was born literally on the clit of Maryland. How ironic, huh? Right outside our nation's capital. So right basically on the border of the heart of the New World. So, I feel that is very fitting for who I am and what my life's purpose is. I also have, I'm a drink gal. I love drinks. So I have water. I have reverse osmosis water, which is filtered up through, volcanic, pumice and 2 ultraviolet sanitizing lights and just cool stuff. I love water, and I'm interested in working with some of the business owners and potentially writing up a proposal for getting a whole new water system put in Seattle for the entire city, including the businesses, because we know that food quality goes up, all beverages go up, and we have quite a bit of breweries here in Seattle. And me and some of the other business owners were thinking about doing some different culinary ideas where, water would be a big deal. So we'd want our starting product to be as clean as possible. And the water, as we've seen over the last couple years with all the lead in Flint and water is a big deal. You're 70 to 90% water at any given point, your body is. And most of the earth is covered in water. Water is a big deal. So clean, clear, purified water is the way to go. And to do that on a mass level, where everyone is included in that resource, that very pertinent, essential resource, and the upgrade of that, I would love to do research and to see if that alone, getting an ultra purified, a citywide ultra purifying system on the water, and also using Emoto's research. Dr. Emoto over from Japan, he recently passed away, but he did research on, writing beautiful quotes and love, writing love all over the water and speaking kindly to the water, and how that had an effect on the physiology of how the water affected the body. So the physiology of the body, it made the water structure more beautiful. The crystalline structure of the water itself, when looked at under a microscope, was more beautiful and more balanced and in harmony and symmetry. And then when the water was yelled at or neglected or not taken care of or dirty, the water structure of the actual molecular structure of the water was erratic and chaotic and, just not something, not something you'd want to bring into your body if you knew how these patterns and these frequencies affected the entire human avatar. So, and I have the bindi on my brow here because this represents the pineal gland, and this is my higher knowledge radiating out to yours, and it's a sapphire color, if you can see. So it's a bright blue, the throat chakra, a bright blue light coming from my heart center up through my crown and out to you, and then there's colors of the rainbow as well. So so again, I'm going to use my chart, and I'm also going to show you Martin Luther King's chart, and I'm also going to show you my son's chart. Martin Luther King and my son are born one day apart. Martin Luther King Jr. was born on the January 15th, and River was born on January 14th. River's birthday is 1/01/1414, so he's got a very harmonic patterning in his basic birthday just with numerology. So okay, let me show you. Okay, here, let's go back to my chart. So I'm going to show you guys my birth chart, my natal chart. I was born at 11:45 Eastern Standard Time, right outside of Washington, D.C., in the United States of America, in Clinton, Maryland. So on the Clint of Maryland is what I like to tell people, of Mary's land. So here you can see right off the bat, this is my natal chart. Let's see if I can bring it up bigger for you. I guess that's as big as it goes. Maybe I can dim the lighting so you guys can get more. So you guys can, without the glare. So here we are. This is my natal chart. And so it's reversed. Let me see. Yeah, it's reversed to you guys. But this is the ascendant here. And this shows you that Libra was rising at the time of my birth. So what the natal chart is, you would essentially say that for the sake of the natal chart and for the sake of trying to explain this to you, the natal chart is essentially the 360-degree parameter around you, yourself, or in this particular chart, myself, me. And so I would be considered the center or the sun of this chart. And as you can see, the four quadrants, the four directions, a lot of basic constructs of the elemental functionality of life is just encompassed in the 360-degree zodiacal circle itself. So a lot of astrology, ironically enough, is geocentric. It's earth-centered, essentially. So it is bringing the heavens to earth. It is, without negating Mother Earth herself as being a planetary body, and referencing your position in time and space in relation to all these things, without leaving that out. Astrology is essentially a map of how the celestial bodies come together to format who you are and what your main, like, what your labyrinth in life looks like, what's your particular labyrinth. And when I say that, I mean the internal labyrinth to your essential core being and the external labyrinth to your life's purposes. And as we know, that's a never-ending journey. So as we can see too, one of the things that I noticed right off the bat, so if I'm looking at my chart just as a astrologer, say I just got this chart, as someone wanting me to, someone donating $100 and then me doing a chart for them. So what I would notice is right off the bat that most of the chart is on the left side of the 360 degree wheel here when looking at it, when facing it. So that ought, you know, left and right, we know that the right side of you know, of a whole circle, right and left, or a half of a whole, one of the halves represents male, one of the halves represents female. Same with 1 and 0, same with dark and light, negative, positive force, receptive or aggressive force. So what you can see right off the bat is a lot of my chart is on the feminine half of the 360 degree wheel. And one of the first things I look at when I first assess the chart is basically, I have many ways that I go about it, but one of those ways is what hits me intuitively, automatically, when just looking at the chart before I read into the angles and the aspects and the positions and the planets and the signs and all that stuff of the particular person. How does the chart initially affect me? Like, what is like an impression? It's like an impression. And remember, you can look at a natal chart as if you were to look at a map, you know, of a journey across, you know, across the world. That's basically essentially what this is. And the map even includes details of your vessel, of your ship. So same concept. This is your vessel, and this is your map of your journey with your vessel. So you have the construct of your vessel that you can peer into through here, and you also have the construct of your journey and some of the attributes of your journey. And what I like about astrology so much is that it is a very organized way to explain in humanistic terms, and also in a way that's very very based on our ancestry. Because, you know, the zodiac wheel, they found zodiac wheels in mosaic tiles on the bottom of 4th century synagogue floors. So, you know, and we didn't even think that the Jewish religion allowed, you know, we knew that they had Kabbalah and stuff, but we didn't even think that they allowed the open practice of astrology. And there it was at the bottom of the synagogue floor. If you guys get a chance, you should look up the A&E special on astrology, Secrets in the Stars. That's a really good documentary to kind of give you an overview of the history of astrology. The history of astrology is one of the most important parts because it's one of the things that validates longitudinally the purpose and the poignancy of astrology, and why oh, I said it, Joanna. I'm sorry, Binky. I did not mean to. I know. She forgives me. I know. I did not mean to. This is all the papers that me and Brian Thomas got. So I'm going to show you these two, but I'm going to do that in another broadcast. This broadcast is about astrology. Because I'm trying to, it's already the 9th, and I've got to get you guys donating so that I can pay my rent on December. So we need to, you know, you guys need to see, ironically enough, some of the last pictures I have with River before they took him, September 16th, 2015, I think are on the 14th. And I am, me and River are going around in Olympia and putting up flyers for my Inner Awakenings business, because I was trying, that was their point. They were trying to, I was already breaking out of the machine in June of 2015 when I started doing the Living Tree videos, which is the tiny home communities and for the homeless population, and the solar energy operating model for the federal and state buildings. I was doing those live videos, and I was working on not being so camera shy, June of 2015. Plus, I was getting my Inner Awakenings astrology business off the ground, of which I even have a business license in Olympia for. So because I wanted to be home with River more, because I wanted to be doing my own work full time, and I wanted to be raising River, and I was making my way to do that. And so that's why I was targeted, not only by Adam and his father, but by that whole pedophile fucking cabal in the King County courthouse and in the King County government and the Washington State and Seattle government. They're all like this. They're all one and the same. They're all one body. And we know that because they've all been protecting Mayor Ed Murray, who has 5 different lawsuits from all these boys who he procured for sex when they were children at fucking halfway houses. So when they were like struggling, he was going and offering them money to pay their bills for sex. Sexual exploitation. Do you see what's going on here? It's fucking crazy. Like, it's crazy that I was right the whole time. It's crazy that that's the way that I'm gonna break through. So I would have come out like this anyway. If you watch the beginning of my YouTube channels, you'll see that. You'll see the progression of all of this. I would have done all this anyway. But what the world is going to know me for, at least upon entering the national and global stage, is fighting for River and changing the legislature and changing the collective dialogue about what's really going on in the world. Essentially changing the world in such a drastic manner, literally like overnight, which really took me 2.5 years and longer than that. But, you know, there's many reasons that they were targeting me. But being a basic threat and being a young woman who looks like this is just like not okay. Like, it doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter that I'm in Seattle. I am a white girl with locks. To the KKK running the King County, and you say there's no KKK in there, so why are all the lawyers skinheads? And then why, you know, you don't even know the false narratives that they're trying. Now they're hiring a bunch of black clerks and lawyers, and because now they're going to try to put the false narrative, because they know that the shit is directly run by the fucking KKK. And that's why one of the other reasons River was taken from me, because I look like this. And I'm trying to come out on the stage and bring solar energy and get into some big money industries and things like that. They were like, hell no. We are going to discredit her. We're going to ruin her. Just like Harvey Weinstein did to all the people that were telling on him. He hired Mossad's agents, ex-agents of a fucking Syrian government dictator, to fucking stalk the people that he was fucking targeting for harassment, especially if they fought back. What the fuck do you think that this is going down here? Why do you think that I got my child taken and a false eviction, and now they're trying to take my car? And I have video of them, fucking military helicopter stalking me on July 4th in downtown Seattle. The next day I have a cop on a motorcycle who pulled me over 1/4 of a mile from my house to say I was reckless driving. How do you even reckless drive 1/4 of the mile from the house? I couldn't even get up to speed. There's a fucking stoplight. What, you know, like, it's just insanity. It's obviously targeted shit. So I'm going to show you right now in my natal chart where this is, you know, where some of this is coming about. Because if you look right off the bat, you know, most of my planets are on the left side, the feminine side. Libra rules my ascendant. So when I first assess a chart, you know, I get the overall impression, you know, and I take notes about that. And then I also go, okay, so where is the sun, the moon, and the rising side? What are they? And this is why it's so important for me to have accurate information on your time and date of birth and the exact place that you were born. Because the rising sign, which literally changes every fucking moment. The whole chart changes every moment. The sky never stops. There's never a time that stops. This is just a snapshot. So the natal chart, an hour, you know, I mean, you can basically, if I was born an hour later, I could have been a different rising sign. I could have had a totally different panel, essentially. The reason I wanted you to look at that first is because that's your triad. That is the fundamental structure of your natal chart. And I've likened this to a house before. your sun, your moon, and your ascendant sign are like the pillars of your house. Or the way that I like to use the analogy is that your sun structures your house. Your sun is your foundation. Your sun sign colors the inside of your house, the outside of your house. It's seen on all angles, and it's definitely known in the core of your being. But it's not necessarily the siding of the house. You know, it's not the first thing that people look at, especially if the house is already built. So the sun sign colors the inside of the house, the outside of the house, the foundation, everything. That's your sun sign. Mine is Leo. It's in the 10th house of recognition, public career, public persona, public image, public figure, blah, blah, blah. And it's in Leo. The ruler, the king, the benevolent queen here. Hello. Like, this is part of my solar purpose, people. So this is the foundation of my house. The sun in the 10th house of Leo, in Leo, is social recognition, public success, public image, public figure. You know, this is the house of career and reputation. And my sun is at 3 degrees Leo. So that is my solar purpose in life, is 3 degrees Leo. That's in my blueprint. That is in the very fundamental structure. That is the skeletal structure and the basic structuring of Lonna Marie Anderson. Upon my first breath into this world. Why people think that they can use me as a fucking whipping post, I don't know where that comes from. But nowhere does it say in Lonna's life path that I'm just some passive whipping post. Oh, hell no. Not even close. I got Pluto in the first house, bitches. We don't. No. Doesn't even matter. It's in Libra. So the other thing I need to let you know is that Libra on the ascendant at 11 degrees on the ascendant, well, 1 and 1, that's a master's number. And 1 and 1 is both, that's, 0 and 1. So that's the masculine half of the 0 and 1 binary code. So 2 ones is, ironically enough, Libra rules the scales. It's justice, balance, aesthetics, fairness, honesty, beauty. That's all under Libra, the sign of Libra. The planet that rules Libra, or is ruled by Libra, is Venus. So Venus and most of my planets are on the left half of my chart, the feminine half of my chart. And not only that, but as you can see up in the 10th house, right next to my sun sign in the 3 degrees Leo is Venus in 15 degrees Leo. So, and that this Venus is on the ascendant of my chart, but it's also a masculine number. It's a masculine master's number. Double ones, 11. So that is part of the dichotomy, ironically enough, in my personal nature, is that I have this very feminine, very, very feminine nature to me. But in that structure and in that expression of it, there is also a lot of masculine attributes or characteristics or aspects. And not only are there some masculine attributes, but they are refined masculine attributes. So in my basic persona, and this is why it's funny to me that all this transgender stuff, because of that, I have a very somewhat androgynous nature, and also somewhat of a transverse fluidity in my gender, because I'm able to embody both sincere and refined and master's level masculine qualities in the format of a woman. But I was born a woman, and I'm very much a woman, as you can see from my chart and as you can see from your own eyes. So some of what is represented in my chart, and also represented in my expression and who I am if you hang out with me, is I have a very forceful nature. I have a very forceful feminine nature. It is very much like the Earth Goddess herself. Very feminine, very spiritual, very highly refined. And as you can see, my sun is at basically at the top of my chart in my 10th house, along with Venus. So my Venetian and my loving nature and my solar purpose are linked at the top of my chart in my public position and my public image and my public performance, so to speak, of my grander life's narrative. That's all at the top of my chart, and that is directing my chart. And remember, I said the triad, so that's the sun and the ascendant. But the third leg of that would be the moon. Where is the moon in my chart? And this is what I would do to assess your charts as well. And I can be able to show you where your solar purpose is and where it is that you potentially are meant to shine based on your astrology. So as you can see, and remember, what sign rules Leo? Or what sign rules the sun? Leo. So Leo, because my sun is in Leo, that is considered an exalted aspect or exalted position for the sun to be in. Meaning it's a direct, there's no interference pattern to the expression and the immediate access to those means of experiencing life. So essentially, I'm innately made like a lady lioness, like a queen, like a, there's a refined aspect to my more intense and powerful nature, and that is clearly seen, with my Venus and my sun being at the top, but also being in Leo, because the sun is ruled by Leo, there's no interference pattern, and I'm able to immediately access those qualities of leadership and courage and big heart and bestow that to you, because there's no interference pattern. The sun is in Leo. So once I learn to step into my solar purpose, that's it. It just expands out from there and it grows, because there's nothing inhibiting that energy from being directed directly into my solar purpose, because it's all already there. Not only that, but remember the triad, the moon. So my moon is in my 9th house. So not only that, but it's sitting right on top of my midheaven, which is the very top of your chart. See how you've got the 4 directions? The very top of your chart, the peak of your chart. It's called the midheaven, or the mead coley or something. This is another word for it. So that is considered the midheaven, or the top of your chart, or your life's, it's kind of like the 10th house, where it involves a lot of where your life's purpose is. So whatever sign is by your midheaven, that's where your ego energy and the embodiment of your life's purpose, along with the sun, and where the sun is in your chart, is going to shine through. And mine is in Cancer. And as you can see, my moon is in 9 degrees Cancer. So you can already see 3 and 9. I already have the 3 and 9, 3, 6, and 9, those sacred numbers, according to Tesla and others. Those are in my main triad. So my sun is at 3 degrees Leo. My moon is at 9 degrees Cancer. But not only that, it's conjunct, meaning it's hugging, or it's close to, or sitting on top of my midheaven, which is in Cancer. So Cancer is the sign of home, the nurturer, the mother. So ironically enough, my public persona has a lot to do with my internal emotional nature. A lot of my chart there's a lot of irony in my chart, because there's a lot of direct access, and then there's also a lot of contradictory wires crossed, so to speak. So what I mean by that is, look at what's going on in my life. I'm here to embody the strong goddess mother figure who comes back and overpowers the oppressive male force and takes her children back and subdues permanently that oppressive male force, and allows the men and the women to blossom and create the garden again, and create God's kingdom again, and bring us back before the original sin, before lust and vanity and greed took over the nuclear family, and the personal, and therefore the personal identity, because we don't realize how much of our personal identity is directly linked to our nuclear family and those archetypes found within, which are basically the construct of our inner psyche. So you don't realize how much your inner psyche controls your overall life pattern and your life itself. But once you figure that out, and once you also figure out that your parental structures and then in the family dynamic that you grew up in, and what you know of masculine and feminine energies, those binary energies based on your parental experience, once you know that, then you can see how your behaviors play out, and where and why you got the information that you did, that this is the way it is, and why you maybe act out of that space because you were conditioned by that, or that's what you saw. And then through astrology, have another window into your own self, aside from that dynamic, whether it be dysfunctional or, amazing and harmonious. Aside from that dynamic, through astrology, you have another access, another window, essentially, directly into your soul's identity and your crystalline, biomechanical, and chemical, essentially, crystalline energetic structure, which is also part of your light body, which is what animates your physical body. So my moon, my internal world, so if the structure of my house and the foundation is the sun, and the siding and the yard and the landscaping and the color and all the architecture on the outside, if that's your ascendant sign, what people see when they first meet you, so mine would be Libra. So my sun, my Leo sun, is coming through my Libra ascendant. So that is what a lot of people can mistake you for your ascendant sign, because that's part of the energies you utilize to project to the world. So even though I'm, a feisty lioness, for sure, anybody could tell that, including myself, I'm very much about social justice. I'm very much about balance and fair play. I'm very much about law and order and justice, which is seen through Libra being on my ascendant at 11 degrees, which is, that other authoritarian, that's a masculine energy, a refined masculine energy. So that's going to come out in the refined feminine energy of Libra as a blend of means and ways to achieve harmony, justice, an egalitarian lifestyle, essentially. And I use my Leonian nature, my lion nature, my fierceness, my fire, my solar purpose to achieve those ends. And I work through social justice to achieve the ends of my solar purpose. So there's a harmonious feedback loop. And then besides that, we've got the moon, who's on the on the mid-heaven, which is my overall, my egoic and overall life's mission. So obviously, me being a mother, having my lunar nature, which is also in its own sign. So Cancer rules the moon. So Cancer is able to immediately adapt and express lunar energies, essentially. So the planetary body and what it represents to us in the human psyche, and also what it could be emitting via vibrational frequency, is the internal emotional nature. And we know that the moon controls all water on Earth. And like we were talking about the water is very important. Speaking of water, bam, my friend Erin gave me this. It's got a little tea thing too, so I can put tea in it. It's BPA-free plastic in it. I've been filling it up with water so that I can make sure I drink enough water. And I gotta drink this this shake before it gets melted. It's a great way to get more fruits into your diet, more antioxidants, which keep your cells healthy. Do smoothies and things like that, because they're essentially desserts. People love them. So, okay, I've showed you some basics of my chart, and I've showed you the sun, the moon, the midhaven, the ascendant, and the signs in which they're in. And these signs are essentially like when you see like mathematical equations, those like these here, for example, how these different signs and letters and numbers and insignia and symbols represent different, basically a broad range, like certain letters and numbers and combinations of such in mathematical equations represent more than just the number. It's a symbol that represents a vast amount of information in that one symbol, but they use the symbol so that they can, for the sake of brevity, when writing these long equations. And remember, mathematics is used to explain the greater cosmos, and supposedly mathematics is basically a universal language. So using mathematics in humanistic astrology makes perfect sense, right? It's a language that we can all understand. And these signatures or these insignia or these symbols all hold a vast body of knowledge represented in the chart. So when you see the Leo symbol, for example, and I have it on the back of my neck here, it also looks a lot like the Om symbol, so when you see that represents all the qualities of Leo. And so that is what's been used through the eons of time to represent all those qualities, much like what symbols and signs are used for even today. So that's why this makes it so easy to see, because everything's not written out. It's the symbols and signs, and the geometrical structures themselves are the language. And then you convert those angles and those shapes and those numbers into how that is housed in our internal construct of perceiving the world. So it's very, very cool stuff, guys. And that's why I think this astrology, I feel, is about to really like blow up, as far as like, I do feel there's a lot of things about to hit, a lot of things that are new, old, new, or things that other people just haven't had access to, and now there's more interest. I do believe that there's about to be a renaissance of these ancient techniques and new techniques and fusions of techniques, of means and ways to understand yourself, have more self-awareness, have higher direction and higher guidance, and also have tangible tools to look for that higher guidance. Jojo, I gotta give her probiotics or belly certain. So the one thing I wanted to point out about Martin Luther King's chart and my chart, there's, like I said, him and River have the same, they're born one day apart, not in years, but in the 365-day calendar. So what I wanted to show you is that there are such things as spiritual aspects, very refined aspects. And as we were talking about sacred geometry, in sacred geometry and in a lot of the world religions, numbers such as 72, 108, 144, these are numbers that were revered in 11, 22. They were revered in religious daily practice, because those numbers represented certain achievements or certain master levels of understanding. Your belly hurting? Do you need some probiotics? I might have to get off of here and give her some probiotics, guys, because I make up a little solution for her and give it to her in a little squeegee. But then I can jump back on and finish up and do like a part 2. But I wanted to show you a little bit of what I do with the astrology and how I can see, when the world gets me down, or tries to get me down, or tries to come at me and tries to be like, who do you think you are, and blah, blah, blah. Well, who do I think I am? I know who I am. Duh, it's right here. Like, if it's all written, like through the angles, and it's written in the stars, essentially, what I'm here to do, what I'm doing. So, and again, I will use my chart to show you, to educate you on how your chart your natal chart can help you and how your natal blueprint, once you understand this language, can really give you insight indefinitely into your own inner world and the world that you're constructing and building based on who you are as an energy expression, past, present, future. So I love you guys. I'll be back. I'm going to give her some probiotics, but share this around if you can. And please, please, please donate to my PayPal so I can get December rent paid before December 1st. All right. Love you guys. Talk soon.